All right, guys, I'm back again the same night that I did the voiceover for the chili video. So if you'll notice, it sounds like I still sound bad, which by the time you're seeing this video, hopefully I'm actually doing better. So just know that, and that's why I look the same and sound the same. Anyhow, tonight I am making tacos, which doesn't sound like anything super exciting, but I'm going to show you how we do it to feed this many people and have plenty. So I'm going to show you guys that. Let's get to it. What I've got going is I have our hamburger browning. One little large family tip or trick that we do is we buy the big 10-pound tube of hamburger at Sam's Club. We bring it home and we cut that into about 5 different sections. So they're right about 2 pounds a piece. Then what I do, you'll notice this is frozen because we freeze it, is it's a giant patty. Anyhow, what I do is anything soft and squishy, like the hamburger and like my refried beans. I also make my own refried beans. I'll do that in another video soon because this is my last package. So anything squishy, I put it in one of the big zipper bags and then I squish it flat to freeze it. For one, it's going to freeze a little bit more evenly, easier, faster, and it's easier storage. Flat containers store in a freezer, especially like the bottom drawer freezer, a lot easier than if I were just to plop it in there and let it freeze as a solid mass. So we do that. I will actually run this bag under some warm water here soon so that it softens so I can break it into chunks, because as soon as my hamburger is browned, I'm going to add those frozen refried beans to the meat mixture. So there's one little hint as to what exactly we do to stretch our taco meat and make this work. Now, like many other recipes, I make my own seasonings. So I use just basic, I'm gonna stay in this light, sorry. Just your basic single spices, and then I combine them for our tacos. I do it in a way that the kids will eat it. It's not too spicy for them. Gives enough flavor for me. Unfortunately, it always means Sean can't have it. So what I do, which is one reason too, I do not, you guys, if you haven't noticed, I really like to saute onions and then cook the meat with them. I don't do it for tacos. I would. Oh, I absolutely would. Most of the kids would eat it, but Sean won't, and he can't. So I don't for this. I will just brown the hamburger, and then I will add the refried beans, and then I will scoop some into a separate container for him. He'll eat it like that. He'll add whatever he wants to it, put it with lettuce, cheese, whatever. He eats it however he feels like it, but it gives him something that agrees with him a little bit more. So I'm going to start browning the hamburger, and then I'll show you when I get to the next step. All right, guys, I got the hamburger browned. I also got the grease drained off. We drain that off into a cup because if you don't know this, I think I've said this in another video or two, at least two. First of all, we don't like that extra grease in our food, so we drain it off. Some people choose to leave it. We don't care for the greasy way that turns the food and you can just see it on top and anyhow. So we drain it off, but do not pour that grease directly into your trash or down the drain, because in your trash, it's gonna melt through the bag. You are gonna have a nasty, greasy mess to clean up out the bottom of your trash can. And who wants that? But it's also not good to put it down your drain because that can actually clog up your drains and cause massive issues in your pipes. Every plumber will tell you, do not dump grease down the drain. So the best way to do it is to find a bowl or something that you can pour it into until it cools and then scrape it into the trash. We tie it into a grocery bag and then take it straight outside because it kind of smells once it cools and stuff, especially if we don't take it out the same day. There have been times it goes out a day or two later, depending when somebody gets to it. I'm not proud to admit that. I'm not the one who usually takes it out. That's supposed to be somebody else's job. Anyhow, so now that the hamburger is brown, and Miss Rara is over here doing dishes, I have the refried beans. This end is actually, where am I at here? This end is kind of squishy because I've been soaking it in hot water, but I had to do it in a bowl instead of the sink. So the top half is still pretty frozen. So we're gonna dump this out into the meat and then go from there. All right, so I stuck the refried beans in there. Guys, I would have shown you me doing it, but I'm not that talented. I can't do it one-handed. So, not to mention it really did actually require 2 hands, because since I soaked it in a bowl and half of it was still frozen and half of it was completely thawed, I actually had to squeeze the bottom part out kind of like a pastry bag. And so it kind of got messy, got it all over my hands and whatnot, and so it was a little bit of a mess. So I am going to get this. In fact, I actually just realized I turned the burner off. All right, so got my flame going. I'm going to stir this in just a little bit. Like I said, because the part of it's frozen, part of it's thawed, I'm gonna have to, basically what I do is I just kind of scoop the hamburger up on top of it as much as I can, since the hamburger's hot, and let the beans thaw and start cooking in, and then those two will actually blend together pretty well. So that was one of my that's one of my large family tricks. Like my open pantry door back there. Anyhow, we add refried beans to our taco to extend the meat, and it doubles the amount of what's in there, because if you didn't notice, there's just about as much for beans as there is hamburger. And then we add tomato sauce and seasoning, and the texture is awesome. Honestly, in my opinion, it's about like the texture of going to Taco Bell or somewhere, because their meat, I don't know, is a little different. It's not good taco meat. That sounds horrible. If you go to a sit-down restaurant, you know the texture and the quality is going to be different. So I would compare the texture of this more to that of a fast food taco joint like Taco Bell or Taco John's. But the taste and the quality is so much better because it's homemade. Every last piece of this is homemade, even the refried beans. Now I guess I could say I didn't make my own tomato sauce. I got my Kirkland's. One of my things that I order from Costco, because the flavor is just so much better than the watery version that Sam sells. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these mixed together, and then I'll show you from there. All right, guys, so this is my meat and bean mixture. As you can see, it kind of is just almost like a paste, fully combined, well, refried beans and hamburger. You're not really, other than biting into it and finding hamburger chunks, you're really not going to be able to sort it apart. So I have a separate dish pulled apart for Sean. That I'm actually going to put in the microwave so it stays warm for him. He's actually working on one of the rooms right now, which I realized I'm going to do another house update. I'm going to do another house update pretty soon about all the projects we've been doing, things we've been working on, and where things are at, so you can see what we've done. All right, so now I've got my 2 cans of Costco tomato sauce. I'm talented enough to do this one-handed. All right, so I'm gonna mix that in. I'm actually gonna grab my spices really quick too, and I'll let you see me add those too. Classic fashion, I don't exactly measure anything, ever. It takes too much time. All right, first thing I'm gonna add is some onion powder, because like I said, I didn't add any onion to this beforehand. So I want that flavor. So about that amount. Next up is my chili powder. Now, because of the size of the batch, I want enough to give it a little hint of spice and flavor, but not so much that nobody can eat it. I've done that before too. Next up is some cumin. I just love the flavor that this adds to it. And I'm making a mess with it because it's clumping on me. Okay. Last but not least, cilantro. Now you can see this container is getting kind of empty. I'll probably use just about all of this. I do have another one already, but I think this one should be plenty. Yeah, I'm not even going to use all of it. So what I am going to do though is add a little bit more cumin. It doesn't give it a ton of heat, it just gives it some good flavor. So, and a dash more onion. Okay, seriously guys, this is how I always cook, and this is why nothing ever turns out the same twice. The kids can vouch for that.
Yeah.
They never usually complain unless I really overdo it with something. But, you know, it works. And maybe they don't complain because at this point they're just used to it.
Mm-hmm. It always tastes good though.
And I appreciate the compliment. So I'm going to get all of this mixed up. And then I'll show you guys what it looks like at the end. But honestly, that's our taco meat. And that's how we extend it, make it a little bit farther. Without just adding that much more beef, which costs that much more. So then you just take your taco shells or however you want to do it. I usually will have a plate of lettuce and put my taco fixings on top of that instead of a shell so that I can try to avoid some more wheat. And I mean, as you guys can tell, everything I added, there's not going to be any peanuts or eggs in this. The shells we get are also safe and free from all of that. All of the seasonings we use are also corn and soy free. I'm very particular on like what's used as an anti-caking agent and all of that. So this is a meal that, other than being too spicy for Sean, is safe for everybody else. No allergy concerns whatsoever. So I'm really sorry about the camera moving so much and like coming in and out while I'm looking away because I'm not really paying attention to how I'm holding it, and I'm really sorry about that. So I will show you guys this here in a minute when it's done. All right guys, so I have it fully blended. That is my refried beans, the beef, the tomato sauce, and all of my spices. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let this, kids are fighting, they're getting hungry. I'm gonna let this simmer for about 15 minutes so that all of those flavors can really come through and just fully finish heating everything up since I added the tomato sauce and whatnot. And then we'll dish everybody up. Now, this is a really big pan. I absolutely love this. This is a green pan that I found at Target a couple years ago. This thing is huge. If you can't tell based on the burner size, it's huge. Anyhow, so this meat, every time I make this, I always look at it and think, oh, that's not gonna be enough. But I have to remind myself, it's really just one scoop in each taco. There's always leftovers, always. So I don't know why I panic every time, but I do. So this is going to more than feed all 9 of us with leftovers. So you guys, it's really easy to scale back then. Do half the amounts of everything I added. If you've got a much smaller family, double it if you've got a larger family. So whatever works for you. If you guys try this, let me know how it turns out for you. I love to hear the feedback. Give me a thumbs up on this video. And don't forget to subscribe because there's more coming. But we'll see you guys in the next video.